Daniel is a fascinating character from the Bible, whose story is mostly found, coincidentally, in the book of Daniel, which is in the Old Testament. His story shows us how faith, courage, and wisdom can help us face difficult situations. So let's explore Daniel's story in an easy-to-understand way. Now, Daniel was a young man of noble or royal background from Jerusalem, but his life took a dramatic turn when King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon conquered Jerusalem around 605 BC. Nebuchadnezzar took many Israelites, including Daniel and his friends, which we know them as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He took them back to Babylon. Now, despite being taken away from their home, Daniel and his friends remained faithful to God. While they were in Babylon, Daniel and his friends were selected for a 3-year program to learn the language, the literature of the Babylonians, preparing them to serve in the king's palace. Now, Daniel showed his faith early on, and he also talked to his friends, and they did that too. And they refused to eat the king's rich food and wine, choosing vegetables and water instead to honor God's dietary laws. Now, this act of faith resulted in them being healthier than those who ate the king's food. Now, if you have heard of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, then you've probably heard the story of the fiery furnace. But those were Daniel's friends, and they faced their own trials when they were in Babylon as well. They refused to worship a golden statue Nebuchadnezzar had set up. They were thrown into a fiery furnace for their disobedience. But God protected them, and they emerged unharmed. This miracle convinced Nebuchadnezzar of God's power, and he praised their God. God blessed Daniel with the ability to interpret dreams and visions, a gift that became crucial when King Nebuchadnezzar had a troubling dream that none of his wise men could interpret. Daniel was called in, so he prayed to God, received the interpretation, and explained to the king that the dream foretold the rise and fall of future kingdoms. Nebuchadnezzar was impressed, so he made Daniel a high official in the entire kingdom. Years later, during the reign of King Belshazzar, Daniel interpreted another mysterious event. A disembodied hand wrote on the palace wall during a feast, and Daniel was called to interpret the writing. He told the king it meant that his kingdom was about to be conquered because of his pride and disrespect for God. That very night, Belshazzar was killed, and his kingdom was taken over by the Medes and the Persians. So, after that happened, Darius the Mede took over Babylon. Daniel was again placed in a high position because of his wisdom and integrity. Now, the other jealous officials tricked Darius into signing a law that made it illegal to pray to anyone but the king. But Daniel continued to pray to God anyway, and for that he was thrown into a lion's den as punishment. But God protected Daniel, and he was not harmed by the lions. Darius was overjoyed and issued a decree that anyone in his kingdom should respect Daniel's God. Now, the later chapters of the book of Daniel contain visions Daniel had about the future, including the coming of the Messiah and the end times. These visions are complex and filled with symbolism, showing God's control over history and his ultimate plan for the world. Now, Daniel's story teaches us about staying faithful to God, even in difficult situations. His ability to interpret dreams, survive in a hostile culture, and maintain his integrity in the face of challenges serves as an example for all of us. Daniel's life and prophecies are a testament to God's faithfulness to those who are faithful to him. Daniel's courage, his wisdom, and his trust in God make his story not only inspiring, but also a guide on how to live a life of faith in challenging times. So I do hope you like the story of Daniel. We're going to be doing some more of these. I'm going to be telling you who different characters in the Bible are. I'm going to be doing a lot of these videos. So make sure to like and subscribe to the video for more. Thank you.